trying to get to Holland or France. Then the Mac said, you gotta go back. You know, it didn't even give us a chance. Christ, you know it ain't easy. You know how hard it can be. The way things are going, they're gonna crucify me. Wow, what a great song that is. The Ballad of John and Yoko. Cheers. Chin chin. Slanchava. Bottoms up. And welcome to the Mermaid Tavern. So I've been listening to the Ballad of John and Yoko. I've always loved that song. You know how random Beatles songs just sometimes stand out. I think the first time I ever heard this track was on the Blue Album compilation, which my sister had, and I liked it. I liked everything on it, but this one stood out. There was a sort of, I love that storytelling thing about it, and John said, didn't he, in one of his kind of last interviews, it was like journalism. The song, you know, I think he said songwriting was like being a craftsman, you know, and you know, it's a bit like Bob Dylan, isn't it? Sort of putting these elements together, and I love about him as well, and it's just got some great lyrics in it, and it's an astonishing song, really, because it defies the sort of convention that John and Paul weren't getting on very well at that time. Yeah, I think it was like April 1969. I remember reading that John was really wired about the song, and he went around. He contacted Paul, went around to his house sometime in late April, or sometime in April '69, and then they recorded it that evening. And just John and Paul, wasn't it? Just the Tootles. It's even more ridiculous, isn't it, when people said that, you know, like Free as a Bird wasn't the proper Beatles because it was the Threetles. I mean, there were many occasions, as we know, you know, it wasn't all the four of them together. And this was an astonishing session. Do you remember on for me, the highlight of the Abbey Road Super Deluxe, you know, did it come out on the 20th? I can't remember now with all the COVID mess, but the highlight of that was the take 7 of Ballad of John and Yoko, where he says at the beginning, what does he say to Mal? You know, Mal, you know, string avec kaput, in really rubbish French, not even schoolboy French. And then he says, you know, John says, go a bit faster, Ringo, and Paul says, okay, George. They're pretending the others are there. You know, it's I love it. It just shows that they were collaborating on a song. You know, Paul was there. I mean, I remember reading somebody speculate when he turned up at the house with a song. He looked at the lyrics about Christ. You know, given all we know about the you know, the Beatles are bigger than Jesus stuff that was going crazy in '66. I think Paul might have easily said, "No, John, sorry, don't want to touch that." But no, it's a hallmark the fact that he just went with it. And I think Yoko said later on that Paul was very brotherly, and it sounds like they're having a great time. I'd love to hear some more outtakes of that, actually. But as I say, that's, you check it out. That I'm sure you have that outtake on the Abbey Road Super Deluxe when they, you know, it's before they've multi-layered all the guitars and everything. But it's great. It really is. I love Ballad of John and Yoko. Of course, later on, there's a really good channel on here called Rock Band Stems. Yeah, Rock Band Stems. Check it out, because it's one of those ones they've isolated all the tracks off. You know, all the bass track, the drum track, the 2 electric guitar track. I think it was a multi-layered, and John's doing the electric, very that twangy electric guitar. It's John. And Paul's doing like the maracas and the drums and the bass and the piano, and you know, John's doing the other guitar and vocals, of course, and Paul's doing the vocals. You can hear him singing along, can't you? It's great. There's very few occasions in a Beatle album you can hear them both singing together like that, particularly that late in the day in '69, April '69. and it's just got some great lyrics, isn't it? About Peter Brown called to say you can make it okay, you can get married in Gibraltar near Spain. Apparently in Spain they didn't like that, not because but there was controversy elsewhere about Christ and crucified. I think it was banned on those lines, but in Spain it was banned because of the word Gibraltar. And I think there'd been some trouble recently about Gibraltar, and that's why they closed the borders, and they Franco's Spain. And in some best ofs and things around the world, it wasn't included, was it, Ballad of John Yoko, because of those two. So it was a controversial track in that sense, and I suppose in the light of recent controversies with a certain song being banned, not naming which one, but I think you know which one I mean, on recent John Lennon box sets, I suppose it's good that we live in a world where that song isn't banned. We could, couldn't we? We could easily live. I suppose it is a bit of a scary precedent. No, anyway, I'm not going to go into that anymore about censorship. It doesn't bode well. But I love the Ballad of John Yoko. I really do. I could listen to it all day. It's just, it came out pretty quick, didn't it? Within a month of them recording it, by the end of May, it had come out, and it had got to number one. And I think that was their last number one. Am I wrong on this? Did I read this wrong? Until Now and Then came out. Until Now and Then was a hit. What, 2 years ago? I think that was their last number one. Until, am I right about that? In England, in the UK, or the UK, that was their last number one. Before Now and Then came out. It's a great song. I think it did quite well in this. That's my UK Apple copy of it, coupled with Old Brown Shoe. And I used to have a lot of these, but I pictured it. Remember when the picture discs came out? I used to have a lot of them, but I sold some of them, the ones that were expensive. But I've got a few of them, and got the Ballad of John Yoko one, which is nice to have. It defies the convention that John and Paul weren't getting on well. It was all acrimony. It obviously wasn't the case. There were moments when they were, and you can see that in the Get Back film, can't you? That they're really getting on really well, and at times, and then other times, Paul's been a little bit of a control freak, and John's been a bit of a, they're all getting a bit fed up and whatever. But I love this song particularly. It's on my top 10 Beatles list of single songs, and I love it. Thank you for listening to me. Go and check out the demo, Take 7. I think it's on YouTube. You can take it out if you haven't got the Abbey Road Super Deluxe. You can hear the genesis of this song before it was multi-layered, and I guess John multi-layered his voice a bit because it sounded different from the demo, but it's lovely to compare it, and it's great to have that bit of humour, with them saying, go a bit faster, Ringo. Okay, George. Pretending the other guys were there. I love it. Thank you for listening to me. Bless you. Will I see you again? I sincerely hope so.